Program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV, and the Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news show.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show is live on Wednesday and recorded, replayed at noon, and then rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Saturday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is September 6, 2017, and now the news at noon.
According to the Cortez Journal, a mysterious gravesite near a construction zone northeast of Durango was determined to be a memorial for a woman who passed away several years ago, according to La Plata County Sheriff's Office spokesman Dan Bender. Bender said the woman's family set up the memorial site in 2008. He identified the woman as Kathy Fritsch. The family has since moved from the area, and a friend the past few years has maintained it, Bender said. He did not know why the location is particularly significant to the family. There is no body at the location or evidence of foul play, but it contains some cremains, Bender said. According to a previous report, construction workers in the Edgemont Highland subdivision about 5 miles northeast of Durango found freshly placed flowers and a wooden cross with the dates 1934 through 2008 on August 22nd. The site was found in brush growing on a vacant lot and only was spotted because the flowers caught someone's eye. The cross was made of 2 pieces of wood and the dates were written in permanent marker, authorities said. The sheriff's office used cadaver sniffing dogs which found the presence of human remains. Authorities also used a metal detector and featured the incident as the crime of the week in the Durango-La Plata County Crime Stoppers poster for clues. Bender said because the memorial is on private property, it's up to the landowner to decide what to do with the site.
Reported in the Durango Herald, Colorado Senators Michael Bennet and Cory Gardner on Tuesday signed on as co-sponsors of the DREAM Act of 2017 after President Donald Trump announced he would phase out a program that shields young immigrants from deportation. Gardner's support for the act is a shift for the Republican when it comes to immigration. In 2013, Gardner voted to block President Barack Obama's program, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. During his re-election bid in 2014, the senator made immigration reform a major part of his platform. Quote, allowing passage of such a policy was avoiding the real problem, Gardner told Congress in 2013. The next year, Gardner switched his position when he voted against a Republican-led effort to end DACA. Trump said he will halt applications for the DACA program. Attorney General Jeff Sessions declared the Obama administration program, quote, an unconstitutional exercise of authority that must be revoked. But the administration is giving Congress 6 months to come up with a legislative fix, should it choose to, Sessions said, before the government stops renewing permits for people already covered by the program. The DREAM Act of 2017 proposes that young immigrants in the country illegally, known as Dreamers, receive conditional permanent residence followed by legal permanent status if they arrive in the U.S. before they are 18 years old, graduate from high school or obtain a GED, pursue higher education, work lawfully for at least 3 years or serve in the military, pass security checks, and demonstrate proficiency in English and a knowledge of U.S. history. Children who come to this country without documentation through no fault of their own excuse me, must have the opportunity to remain here lawfully, Gardner said. Excuse me. Today is some day. I'm proud to join with the Senator Bennet and co-sponsor the DREAM Act to provide certainty to the thousands of law-abiding Colorado Dreamers and demonstrate bipartisan leadership in this important issue. I have long called for an overhaul of our country's immigration system and believe this is an important step. I will continue to work with Senator Bennet and our colleagues in the Senate to move this bill forward into law. There are an estimated 17,000 residents in Colorado enrolled in DACA in the U.S. The estimate is 800,000.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, some Cortez residents experienced a power outage and falling trees on Labor Day afternoon thanks to a brief but intense windstorm. Cortez meteorologist Jim Andrews said a microburst caused high-speed winds on the northeast side of town between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Monday. Several residents along North Mildred Road and Empire Street reported losing power during that time and said trees toppled in their neighborhoods. Gail Binkley said she was at her residence on Alma Avenue during the storm. She said she didn't notice any rain or thunder, just a sudden burst of wind. A few trees blew down on her street, she said, including one that landed on her own property, but they didn't appear to cause much damage. Most of the debris had been hauled away by Tuesday morning, but fallen tree branches were still scattered around Centennial Park and several residences near the intersection of North Mildred Road and East Empire Street. Andrews said the wind was a very localized event that wasn't part of a larger storm system. Conditions in southwest Colorado were favorable on Monday for localized windstorms like this, he said, and meteorologists in Grand Junction reported a similar event in that area. Andrews said the highest wind speed his weather station recorded was a 32-mile-per-hour gust in the afternoon. Southwest Memorial Hospital, which is undergoing construction, was near the center of the microburst, but Southwest Health System's Public Information Officer Haley Leonard Saunders said the wind didn't cause major problems. Andy Carter of Empire Electric Association said power was cut off to residents in the northeast corner of the city for about 3 hours because of tree branches that fell onto several power lines in the area. He said repair crews from the company responded quickly, removed tangled tree branches, and repaired most of the damage by Monday evening.
From the BLM Southwest Colorado News release and the Cortez Journal reporting, the wildfire 9 miles east of Dove Creek in the Dolores River Canyon remains at 115 acres, the Bureau of Land Management said Tuesday in a news release. The Secret Canyon fire was started by lightning on August 26 and is smoldering in oak brush and pinyon juniper forests. Recent precipitation helped firefighters secure containment lines. Chris Ashbourne said, though smoke may be visible as remaining fuels smolder on steep, inaccessible slopes. About 60 firefighters, including hand crews, 5 fire engines, a water tender, and a helicopter, initially were assigned to the fire as it burned near private property, power lines, and oil and gas facilities. Steep, rugged terrain made access difficult for ground crews as they worked to secure a fire perimeter. In the first few days of the firefighting effort, a helicopter dropped water on portions of the fire. Fire managers plan to use natural barriers, existing roads, and previous fuels reduction projects to minimize fire growth. Rollouts, which is burning vegetation that rolls down the canyon, helped spread the fire. Currently, no area closures have been announced and no structures were threatened. No injuries were reported, but the fire occurred in the prime habitat for the endangered Gunnison sage grouse. We'll continue to keep an eye on how this fire is finally contained and extinguished.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, Glen Canyon Dam and Lake Powell made it possible for millions of people to live and grow food in the arid Southwest. Together, the dam and the reservoir store precious snowmelt for year-round use, help generate electricity for 5.8 million homes, and enable states from the upper Colorado River Basin to fulfill their legal obligation to deliver water to downstream states. Last year, the federal government underscored its support for the dam by finalizing a plan that will guide management for the next 2 decades. Even so, an interest in dam removals and the specter of climate change have created fresh hope for those who want to see the drowned canyon resurrected. From 1990 to 2010, the population of the American Southwest grew by 37%, even as the amount of water flowing into the Colorado River system shrank amid a historic drought. More people using fewer resources means that neither Lake Powell nor Lake Mead, the downstream reservoir created by Hoover Dam, have been full since 1999. And people say climate change promises to squeeze the water supply even further, with future droughts expected to bring even hotter and drier conditions. Over its 50-year life, Glen Canyon Dam has blocked hundreds of millions of tons of sediment from being carried downstream. That sediment now sits at the bottom of Lake Powell, much of it contaminated by agricultural runoff, mining waste, and even uranium. Some people believe a drained reservoir could be eligible for Superfund status, others that it would soon rebound to a natural state. And while draining the reservoir could benefit native fish by rebuilding habitat and restoring warm, naturally fluctuating flows to the Grand Canyon, it would end the year-round whitewater trips that are possible thanks to regular releases of water from the dam. It would also devastate the residents of nearby Page, Arizona, who depend on the tourism the reservoir supports. Today, a lack of good data means those trade-offs are subject to interpretation, which means that until the federal government invests in new research, the Colorado River stands little chance of being unshackled. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Similar weather is expected today on the regional forecast, as we've seen lately with high pressure still dominating. One more day of smoky and hazy conditions are expected thanks to the fires over the Pacific Northwest and specifically Montana. This should move out of the area by Thursday. A few showers and storms will pop up over the southern mountains this afternoon and evening, with gusty winds again being the biggest concern. But sunny and hot remains the rule in the region. And we're sorry for the technical difficulties we're having this year. This day. Once again, for the national forecast, the national media is turning its sights to the potential for significant weather impacting Florida, perhaps by Sunday and into Monday by Hurricane Irma. Not wanting to repeat the Houston scenario of waiting till it's too late to evacuate, Florida residents on both coasts are being warned to be prepared for significant rainfall and possible flooding and devastating winds. Meanwhile, all up the Atlantic coastline, a mix of rains and winds is already stretching the entire length of the eastern seaboard as a cold front moves in. An upper-level system behind this front moves slowly across the Great Lakes region, which should keep showers and thunderstorms in the forecast over the next couple of days, and bringing temperatures 5 to 10 degrees below normal. And back on the west coast, rain and thunderstorms are prevalent from north to south, while a large high-pressure system has pushed south across most of the middle of the country, resulting in dry and above-average temperatures. And our 5-day forecast, today we are still looking to get a high temperature in the upper 80s with a 40% chance of precipitation and west-southwest winds of just 10 miles an hour and possible afternoon-evening thunderstorms. Thursday, the temperatures may come down a bit to the lower 80s and less chance of rain though the humidity will start to increase. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're all staying with the same forecast of continued lower 80s for the highs and lower 50s on the lows, with about a 20% chance of rain in the afternoons or overnight. Into the beginning of next week, we may be picking up more of that moisture, resulting in more favorable conditions to produce significant rainfall. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Durango Herald, the local air quality is currently being affected by Intermountain West and Pacific Northwest wildfires. If smoke is thick or becomes noticeably thicker in the area, people should remain indoors or, if possible, seek out locations where air is filtered. According to San Juan Basin Public Health, smoke reaches unhealthy levels when visibility is less than 5 miles. When smoke settles, use these tips to stay safe. If smoke becomes noticeably thicker, remain indoors or seek locations where air is filtered. Residents who are sensitive to smoke, those with heart or lung diseases, children, and elderly adults should avoid prolonged or heavy exertion. Close windows and doors and stay inside. Be careful to avoid overheating. If appliances are filtered, run air conditioning units or evaporative coolers or use fans. Use high-efficiency particulate air known as HEPA air filters if available. Refrain from smoking, using vacuum cleaners, burning candles, and avoid secondhand smoke and other sources of air pollution. Do not use paper dust masks. They do not filter the particles and gases in smoke. To prepare for nighttime smoke, air out residences in the afternoon when smoke tends to be more diluted. Seek assistance from a healthcare provider if symptoms persist or become more severe. For more information about getting prepared, visit www.ready.gov/wildfires.
From the Durango Herald, Denver airport officials say a deal is in the works to allow wild bison from the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge to roam on 200 acres of airport property. Travelers driving up Pena Boulevard to the airport's white tented terminal would be able to see the bison under the plan. The Denver Post reports that the refuge herd stands at a record 122 bison, with the addition of 18 calves born this year. Wildlife officials plan to import 25 more this fall as part of a project to restore bison to the landscape after they were nearly wiped out from hunting. Having that wildlife refuge next door is an unbelievable opportunity for us, Airport Manager Kim Day said. It is something you will not see in Des Moines. The biggest concern is containing the massive animals inside a fence and keeping them off of the road. Governor John Hickenlooper has supported the idea and suggested viewing stations that overlook the 16,000-acre refuge next to the airport. Word of the potential deal comes after federal wildlife officials doubled the fence space for the refuge herd, which now again numbers at 122 bison after the addition of the new 18 calves birth. Wildlife officials plan to import 25 more bison to the refuge in October as part of a project to restore wild bison to the West's landscape after they were nearly wiped out by hunters more than a century ago. Expanding cities and agriculture have sharply reduced the amount of open prairie in the West since the bison's peak numbers, and their ability to roam freely has been sharply curtailed.
According to the Cortez Journal, to better accommodate the public, the San Juan National Forest has improved access to McPhee Reservoir from the Seychen area west of Dolores. County Road X and side roads that lead to the shoreline were blocked in June to prevent invasive mussels from entering the reservoir from uninspected watercraft. But after public outcry that lake access was too restricted, U.S. Forest Service and reservoir managers modified access in August to allow vehicles to use side roads and drive up closer to the lake. Boulders were placed 20 to 50 yards off the shoreline to prevent motorized boats, jet skis, and trailered boats from being launched. 2 side roads to the lake have reopened, one off Road 25 and the other off Road X near the new gate. The sudden closure of Road X with a gate annoyed residents who have been using the road for decades to access McPhee. Seychen is one of a few areas where it is easy to reach the lake because of its flat terrain and network of roads. In 2008, camping was banned at Seychen because of vandalism, illegal off-roading, excessive partying, and littering. Access to McPhee was tightened this season amid concerns that the non-native quagga mussel could infest the reservoir and damage irrigation infrastructure, dams, municipal water lines, fisheries, and recreation facilities. The mussel is transported to waters via boats that have been to infected lakes, such as Lake Powell and Lake Mead. To prevent McPhee from being contaminated, all motorized and trailers boats are only allowed to launch at either the McPhee or House Creek boat ramps after passing through a boat inspection station. 9 types of non-motorized crafts can still launch from anywhere on the lake without an inspection. They are kayaks, canoes, rafts, belly boats, windsurfer boards, sailboards, float tubes, inner tubes, and paddle boards. Boating use has increased by 83% at McPhee this summer, reservoir managers said, in part because of boating bans at other regional lakes.
Reported in the Journal, another regional celebration of the well-known Puebloan ancestral Three Sisters took place. Dozens of Mancos residents gathered at Mount Lookout Grange on Labor Day to welcome a group of tourists from their sister city in France. Several Mancos residents have spent months preparing for the arrival of 6 visitors from the agricultural town of Faynes, France, which became the town's sister city in 2015. The tourists arrived in town late Monday evening. Members of the French Farmers Aqua, a volunteer group formed just for the occasion, organized a welcome dinner for them that showcased local agricultural programs like School to Farm and the Four Corners Farmers and Ranchers Coalition. The Grange was decked out with balloons and welcome signs in English and French outside, while the guests inside gathered around tables stocked with locally produced food. Most of the dishes featured squash, corn, and beans, which the ancestral Puebloans considered the Three Sisters of produce, and several of them were garnished with the little French flags. Mayor Queenie Bars read an official proclamation welcoming the visitors to Mancos and said she would love to see some of her own town's residents visit Faynes in the future. "We're going to have to start working on the town budget and see if we can't send some people to France," she said jokingly. During the dinner, Greg Kemp gave a presentation about the history of the Grange. Representatives from the Montezuma County School to Farm program talked about their accomplishments over the past years, and Mike Nolan of the Farmers and Ranchers Coalition spoke about the importance of supporting younger farmers. Both Mancos and Faynes are in agricultural regions, and organizer Duff Simbeck said he wanted the dinner to highlight the similarities between the two towns. For Florent Bouin and his traveling companions, the stop in Mancos came in the middle of a whirlwind tour of the American Southwest. The group had already visited Los Angeles, San Diego, the Grand Canyon, and Monument Valley in the 16 days before they arrived in Colorado, and they had several more stops planned before returning home. This is Bouin's 5th trip to the U.S., but his first time visiting the Southwest. He said the view of the land changed every time. Before it was desert, then when they arrived here, it was green. It was very weird for us because this is the first time in the West that we've seen the green part. His girlfriend, Julie Menard, said that she appreciated the lovely welcome from the town of Mancos and was enjoying the trip so far. Thanks to a large crowd and limited air conditioning, the dining room in the Grange was as warm as the welcome, but the dinner attendees didn't let the heat spoil their enthusiasm. After the presentations, the Sister City residents exchanged gifts, including a photo album from Mancos and some food from Fane.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of August 28th through September 3rd. Several residents have reported bear in the area. Please be mindful when you are outdoors, as this year the higher terrain areas are low on moisture, so bear are moving down to lower terrains. Bear also begin hibernating in late October or early November, so this means they are trying to put as much weight on as possible to make it through the cold, harsh winter and hibernation. A call for overdue hikers at the Dolores River Overlook led to a small search. The search ended with the hikers hiking out and back to the Dolores River Overlook. There was one minor injury for one of the hikers, but everyone was relieved to be out of the canyon and able to get some fresh drinking water. A deputy investigated a theft of personal property in Rico. Officers responded to a report of cows being out on Highway 491. Owners were contacted to repair the fence. A reckless driver was reported headed towards Dove Creek. Officers were unable to make contact with the vehicle, and the information was passed along to San Juan County Sheriff's Office dispatch as the vehicle was headed towards Monticello, Utah. The Dolores County Sheriff's Office received a report that there was a vehicle blocking a county road. An officer responded and located the owner and asked for the vehicle to be moved. The vehicle was then moved by the owner to the shoulder of the road. A town resident called stating that a dog on the loose had attacked and injured their dog. This case was given to animal control. There was a report of a theft of a dump box from a county resident's home. This case is under investigation. A report of a large boulder blocking part of a county road was called in. The information was passed along to the county road and bridge crew, who took care of the blockage. A town resident reported a strong smell of gas. An officer responded, and the smell had dissipated while he was at the location. That concludes this week's roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. Today, September 6th, starting at 6 p.m. at the Montezuma Mexican Restaurant on the right side of Highway 145 at the east end of Dolores. Summer Pool League comes to an end with the final 9-ball shooters shooting for the win. You will not want to miss these sharpshooters and the excitement they bring to the tables. Fantastic drink specials and food specials to carry the fun through the night. And look forward to Winter 8-Ball League sign-ups starting Saturday, September 9th, 2017. September 9th, Yoga and Brews at 11 a.m. at the Wild Edge Brewing Collective in Cortez. All skill levels are welcome. They ask you to bring your own mat and come into the brewery before the event to sign up and pay with cash to secure the $12 price. Day of cost will be $15. Class admittance is now limited to 25 people. Here's a fun idea. September 9th, hosted by Fractal Forever, Catsnip, and at Gable Mountain Farm in Bayfield. Starting at 3 p.m., once a year, Gable Mountain Farm hosts their annual harvest celebration at the farm. This year, they'll be doing it potluck style with lots and lots of food. Bring any kind of dish you want to share. They'll have a keg this year. Bring a reusable cup if you can for beer. Donations will be accepted. They will also be accepting donations for the bands. Bring a chair, bring your friends. Come for the company, the food, the music, and the fire. Stay for the camping and after party. The 2017 lineup includes Fractalia, Catsnip and Funk Lab, Sunny and the Whiskey Machine, and Belantron 5000. All of the happenings are posted up on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs live at noon Monday through Wednesday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
Be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.